flattening the clay across the table. When you do, you get this sort of a shape, right? And then you pick it up so that it's kind of on the nose of the bull. That's supposed to be the bull's face right there. And so we take the piece and we kind of rock it up on the nose, and then your idea is to sort of take these cheeks and squeeze in and push down and create another one. So it kind of looks like this. You kind of pull it back towards yourself so it's tipped up on its nose, and you squeeze in and down again, and now you've got a bull's head with a mouth, although it looks like a pig right now. I know. That'll do, pig. That'll do. Babe, it's funny. I want to be your friend. Anyway, so then we repeat and take Babe and go up on like that, and you go do, and you keep pressing in and down each time, in and down, so that you don't get a big long hot dog. And as you do that, all those little platelets start to line up, which helps condense the clay and make it so that it's ready to go on the wheel. It's also supposed to be squeezing out the air pockets, and if there was a little inconsistency between one piece of clay and the other piece of clay, and I'd really work these things so that I'm really working those pieces of clay together so that they feel like they're more consistent. For you guys, 10 to 15 wedges, and each time you're going to push a little less, and 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 then you're going to roll it. You're going to stand it up on edge. You should sort of see like a swirling pattern starting to happen. Give it a couple of smacks, and then you've got a ball that's ready to go on the wheel. Typically, I don't do this on a board on the wheel. I'm just doing it so we don't have to move. But you can do it on your table or on the plaster. Especially if the clay is really wet and it sticks to the table, the plaster is a good place to do it. Just make sure you don't pick up any dry pieces. All right, the wheel is a little bit dry right now, so I'm going to want it to stick to the clay and not slide around. So I'm going to add a little bit of moisture to that, because if I put it on bone dry like this, it's not going to want to stick to it. And I'm doing my pedal and nothing's happening. There's a switch on the right side over here, and if I turn that on and I do my pedal and still nothing happens, check and see if it's plugged into the wall. These wheels have a switch on the left side, and if you push it down, it's low speed. In the middle is off, and on up, whoops, up is high speed, and this one is, oh no, another casualty. It's doing low. I think that switch has gotten a little, sometimes it gets a little clay in it because your hands are all clayey, so we can kind of wiggle it and it works. Other times, and this might be one of those times we have to call the maintenance guy to see if they can fix it for us. So anyway, this one has variable speed, and I'm just going to put a little bit of water on that center area, and I'm going to squeeze out my sponge. I'm going to dry it off, and then I'm going to take my clay and fairly forcefully, bam, I'm going to put it in the middle. If I'm nervous about, going too hard and getting it too far out of center, you can kind of shove it into the center and give it a couple of smacks to make sure it's down pretty good. First time you throw, you're probably going to be a little nervous about what to do with your hands and what's right and what's wrong, so it helps to sort of seal the clay around the edges. Eventually you may not have to do that, but it's kind of sealing it in there. Any place that you can see it might look like water is going to go underneath there, you might want to eliminate that, because the first push you can slide it right off the wheel. If you push on the clay and it goes sliding off the wheel, it means there's too much water on the wheel head. You have to dry it off and dry off the clay. That's the only reason that it would slide. Unless you're doing something funny with your hands, which we'll figure out later. Alright, so now we're going to go right down the line. We're going to do 1, 2, 3, 4 steps here. Centering, and we're going to open the clay, and we're going to pull the walls up. And now, all of these names, are somewhat variable. Like you might hear somebody calling it lifting the walls, or raising the walls, or somebody collaring the piece and that sort of thing. But the principles are the same. What I show you is the way that I think people learn fastest, but there are more than one ways to center a piece of clay. And if you haven't already, and you're starting to get excited about ceramics, you should go online and look at some of the videos that are on there. In particular, Ceramics Art Daily has some great hand building things on it, you know. But there's a ton of videos on throwing, you know. So if you want to watch this again, you know, you can go on there and see how other people throw. It's kind of fun to see how people are doing things. So anyway, I'm going to be doing two things at once. I'm going to be pushing in on the side of the clay, and I use my left hand to do that. And it's going to be like a snow plow. So I'm going to use the base of my palm here to push into it. I'm not grabbing the clay and squeezing it into center. I'm just creating a wall that I'm pushing into the side of the lump of clay. Okay? When it's not center, it pushes back on me. Right? It pushes my hand back. So I want to be in charge of the clay and make sure that my hand doesn't move, because if I'm letting it push my hand around, I'm not doing anything. It's doing something to me. When I do push in, the clay wants to come up. So I want to push down on the top, or kind of hold down on the top to keep that clay from coming up. So my right hand's pushing down like I'm karate chopping it. Now you can do it other ways. Some people do this. Some people use their thumbs on the top and do this sort of a form on there. The idea is the same. In on the side, down on the top, and don't back off. So that's the big thing. You got to realize you're in charge. So it's like, hey, I own you, clay. You may want to push my hand around today, but I am not going to have any of it. I am in charge of you, and you are going into the center, and you have to own the clay. You got to get tough, not let the clay push you around. There's always somebody who's like, and they're like, hey, Mr. Walter, is it center? I'm like, are your hands still? And they're like, I don't know. And I'm like, yeah, your hands are moving. It's not centered. High speed for centering, and when you get good, it's going to be fairly fast sort of operation. You're going to kind of push in and push down at the same time, and boom. If your hands stop moving, you've centered. Then you want to relax and back away. Now sometimes way down here at the bottom, you don't have a lot of hand to work with, so it's like there's like a little lump down there that makes your hand kind of want to pop up. And what we do when we have that off at the bottom is just kind of scrape away with our tool, and then you can come back with this front knuckle, kind of press in and get that last little bit down at the bottom. Yeah? And then you back away slowly. Mistakes that people make. Sometimes they get it centered and they're like, whoa, 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 and then they're like, oh, I got it! It's centered! And they let go real fast. And see what happens when you let go real fast is that you've actually pushed it past center when you center, and if you let go, it stays past center. So you have to back away slowly. Then there are the people who do the stylish dismount. Like they have it centered and then they go, I'm so sweet. I'm so sweet I center clay. That's how sweet I am. Voila. And when they push off to the side, they're like, I hate this class, Mr. Walter. I hate it. I hate this class. I can't do it. Yes, can I? No, you don't understand. You don't understand. You don't. I hate it. Chill. Alright. We push in and down, and then we back away slowly. So as you back towards your belly button, you're going to leave the clay in the middle. So that's centering.